You pray for my demons, girl, I got you. Every time I sip on, I get vulnerable. Annoying the sounds of the storm when it comes. She understand I can't take her everywhere I'm going. I begin to feel like the children of the corn.
I am too.
Over the phone. Get mad at yourself because you can't leave me alone.
We back for part 2.
That ain't what we doing.
Yes.
Traveling around the world.
It's gonna be good.
I get my phone when I do good.
Okay.
Tell me exactly how you feel.
Everybody who on Facebook. Uh-oh. Let me see.
The real one, exactly what it is. I'll say it because you know that's what I want to hear. Yeah.
Hello. What's up, y'all?
I sit on my balcony and wonder how you feeling. I got a career that takes my time away from women. I cannot convince you that I love you.
How has your Wednesday been going?
My Wednesday's been good. You talking to me or you talking about these folks?
I'm talking to everybody.
My week
live.
is good.
And I'm excited. So did it work with tagging you on the?
It did. I mean, I can see that you're live. Like I can see myself in the live, but I can't like I don't have like I'm not a part of the actual live, if that makes sense. Happy Wednesday, y'all. What is up, y'all?
Woo! We in the ladies' lounge. It is Wednesday.
What? Were you able to add me to the live actually?
No, I actually not.
I mean, I'm definitely tagged in it, so I can see you on your Zoom. I just can't see, you know. Well, let me see. How about I just do this? I'm gonna just share it to my page, and then people can listen from there because I don't want to hold us up. Okay.
All right. We are back. I can't believe it's another Wednesday. These days are flying like crazy.
Yeah, they are.
They are flying like crazy. But I'm excited to just get things going. We'll be back for part 2. And I'm excited for tonight's topic. I'm excited to be back with CEOshaw. We're gonna chat it up again. And I hope everybody had an amazing Wednesday. We halfway through the week. We over now halfway through the year. We almost about to be saying Happy New Year soon, y'all.
What have you done so far to make this year? Or the better question is, what have you done so far this year to make next year better? Right?
Ooh, come on with the question.
Right? Because we're already through it.
Yeah. That's a really, really good question. I think so far, I know for a fact, this right here, creating a space for us to just talk and, just hopefully I'm inspiring people, get to hear my story. So that way, when people are watching this going into the new year and looking back on episodes, it is something that, they could take with them definitely to the next level, wherever, that's supposed to be. And I guess also stepping out on faith. Can I say that? You know what I'm saying? Like, just not being afraid, tooting my own horn.
Yeah. Yeah,
humbly.
Yes, stepping out on. That's why I'm so excited about tonight's topic, because the only way that you'll be able to do that is if you can have good balance, right? And so that's that. It all is, everything is going to tie in together today, and I'm so excited about today's conversation because it's going to be definitely filled with gems, but I believe it's going to be a very down to earth conversation.
Right.
And I'm really excited about how the conversation progresses.
Me too. So let's not keep everybody waiting. You know what we got to do? We just have to set it off right. So, ladies and gentlemen, grab your drinks, get comfortable, because we are in the ladies' lounge where we are elevating women through conversation. And men, we got to add our men in there. I'm never going to leave you all out.
Yes.
And tonight's topic, from burnout to balance, you are reclaiming your mental health at work. And this topic, y'all, I ain't even gonna get too deep in my intro, because I'm gonna let CEOshaw, he gonna take this bus and he gonna drive today, and share some nuggets and knowledge. But before I hand it over to him, of course we have to go over some house rules, because we all grew up with house rules, even though we didn't like them back in the day, but it made us who we are today. So, as here in the ladies' lounge, we always say, please be respectful in the chat. I love y'all. So far, y'all have been encouraging and just sharing, a lot of your stories and keeping us going here while we are in the ladies' lounge. So, as always, we give respect as we always want to receive respect. So, without further ado, CEOshaw, we back.
We are back. We are back, Britt. We are back, and I'm excited about it. And also, I'm live on TikTok right now too. I typically don't show people too much love on TikTok, and now that I don't have to have 1 billion followers to go live on TikTok, I decided I would make use of this platform because they don't really know CEOshaw way too much on this platform as far as in this space.
They missing out. They are missing out.
Yeah.
So, burnout to balance. We here to talk about, we're going to keep up with the mental health topic, which we've already said in the last episode. We could talk about this till the end of time at this point.
Right.
But I think this topic, when we talk about at work, it's so important, because a lot of us don't realize that we are becoming burnt out when it comes to work. And, does our employers offer us the right resources that we need to make sure that mentally we are okay to show up? I want to show up and be the best version of myself when I'm at work. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I want to tap into that tonight.
So, okay. So I want to make sure that I'm able to answer the questions you want. I know you said that you wanted to talk a little bit more, I guess, about my background, so your audience could know a little bit more about me. So, because we're gonna definitely get into the juicy conversation.
But let them know, because we need receipts here. And as I always say, we are all subject expert matters of our own life experiences.
Right.
So I do, here in the ladies' lounge, want everybody to come on who are, chopping it up with me and share your background, because we all have a story. And I do believe that when we share our stories of where we come from, it makes us more relatable, right? Because now it's like something I could say, hey, you just like me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you're doing it. And it looks good, because what does anxiety and mental health and depression and all of these other terms that we have, what does that really look like? So I want to take time out for you to share your story and share it with us here in the ladies' lounge.
Well, so I go by CEOshaw, or I am CEOshaw. So for the people who follow me or know what I do, I've been online for a long time. I've had a presence online for at least the last, I don't know, it had to at least been the last 15 years that I've had a really strong online presence. And I was able to build the I Am CEOshaw brand, and my platform has always been mental health and personal development, personal growth. And that's really the basis of what I represent. I live with bipolar disorder, and I do a lot of advocacy for mental health related topics and spaces, which we talked about on the last episode. I think we did, where we talked about my feature in the Ocala CEP Network magazine as a subject matter expert in business and mental health. And, I've also been, I was telling you before, I do talks around the city. That's why this is a great conversation, because one of the things that I do is I talk to business owners about how they can retain more employees and they can improve their bottom line by addressing mental health in the workplace, right? Because like you were saying, and like we'll talk about later, the workplace is where most of us live, if not all of us, right? So addressing mental health in the workplace has become my passion over the years, and I've been recognized for it. And, a little backstory about me. So I was diagnosed with bipolar 2 disorder back in 2012, right? That's when I had my first attempt. I don't want to trigger anybody, but that's when I had my first attempt, okay? It was at that time that I was diagnosed with bipolar 2. I struggled. And when I was initially diagnosed, I was like, first of all, this is the first time that I've been in a facility. I had never knew about anything psych really like that. And I'm just like, yo, how are they going to just throw this label on me? And I don't even, you know what I mean? Like, I've had no prior experience with being bipolar, you know what I mean? So when they did that, I was compliant at first, and then I stopped taking the medication. I was like, bump this. I don't believe nothing they say. I'm going to stop taking it. And I did. And some time went, and because, doctors would recommend that you never just stop taking psych meds abruptly, right? But I did, because I was just like, they didn't know what they were talking about. I was convinced in my mind that the doctors, these educated people, did not know what they were talking about. And I stopped taking the medication for years. And then I ended up having another attempt where I tried to take my life again. And so it was one of those things where the second time I realized that I couldn't control the thoughts and urges to harm myself at the time. So it was at that time. And now the first time I was Baker acted and put in a facility. So that was my first experience to the mental health world, being in and out of mental health facilities. That was my very first time. So this was the second time. And so I realized that I couldn't control the thoughts. I couldn't control the urges and impulses. And so I was put inpatient again. But then when the doctors gave me the medication, like, everything cleared up, like the negative thoughts, the tendencies to harm myself. Like, it was almost like I felt normal again. And it was at that time that I said, you know what, I think I'm gonna really kind of consider this bipolar thing, right? Because I'm just like, I don't know. So what I did was I started to educate myself on bipolar disorder, what it was, how to live with it. I have a book, and it's called Surviving Bipolar Disorder. It was the very first book that I read. I was inpatient and I read it, and the nurses were so intrigued because they were so intrigued that someone in the hospital after a suicide attempt was reading how to get better in the facility.
Wow.
Right. So at that point, I decided that I was going to learn, if I was going to live with bipolar disorder, I was going to learn everything I could about it so that I could live with it, and also encourage other people that live with it, to know that there's a lot of things that you can do, and that bipolar is not a limitation. But it is definitely for me, it's a leg up. It's helped me to get into spaces like this by talking about bipolar disorder, talking about mental health and mental health related stuff. And like I told you, I've been online for 15 years almost talking about these very things.
Right.
And I look back at my content and I'm just like, yo, I've been preaching this for so long, yo. Like, this has just been my space. So it's like now now that I've been an advocate, I told you that I've worked with NAMI Marion County, the National Alliance Against Mental Illness, and just being in spaces, to be able to encourage this community and to kind of normalize the conversations around mental health and mental health related stuff. Because at one point I was my doctor's worst case. I was in it. When I tell you I was in and out of facilities, it was bad, man. I was in a lot of programs and I struggled so bad. I did. But once I got my footing, now I'm in recovery. I haven't been in a hospital or anything now, probably about 7 years.
Sounds like a book, audio or something. Trials to Triumph. Just throwing that out there. Just throwing some seasoning on there a little bit there.
So, but yeah, that's just, and it was really bad. So like I told you, my main message is for people to stop killing themselves and harming themselves. Okay. I want people to not do that. Okay. Because you deserve to be here. Okay. And then 2, I want to encourage people to be the best possible versions of themselves, because you can recreate who you are at any given time, and you don't have to believe any stigmas that are put on you. Like, you can choose to believe something different about yourself. If I was to believe that because I live with bipolar disorder that I'm a weak person or that I'm not a worthy person, then you couldn't live in spaces like these. And a lot of people in the the mental health community that have like diagnoses and things like that, they feel like this. I live in this community, and a lot of them feel down and hopeless, and they don't feel like there's nothing you can do when you're living with extreme anxiety or bipolar or schizophrenia or depression. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like my background, and just a little bit of kind of where my space is, my head is, and how I contribute to the mental health space.
Well, thank you as always for sharing with us. And this is why I find it so important when you do learn about when you do hear someone's story or learn, about their background or who they are. It just makes, in my opinion, now I could be wrong, but it makes for what, the words that you share, nuggets and knowledge that you drop. For me, that's validation, because it's like, I heard your story. So many times we see people like on social media, like we discussed, or people that we do look up to who are not. I don't want to say they're not real, but we don't really know their story. You know what I'm saying? So that makes it real for me. I want somebody who, just get in there, get your hands dirty, that just start from the ground running.
Oh, I heard a commercial on my Alexa, and it was a BetterHelp commercial. The therapy. The commercial was talking about social media, and they were like, "Hey, you need to see a therapist. Like, hey, does social media affect you? Like, do you see the best parts of other people's lives and it makes you feel inadequate or something like that? You can talk to a therapist about it. Like, it's not this is a thing that they're using to market now, the insecurities that people have around social media and they said something at the end that, oh my God, stuck with me. They said, the best version of you, I'm trying to remember it, because I was like, yo, that's crazy. It was like, the best version of you is not the version of someone else. Because people compare themselves to other people on social media. That was the whole basis of the therapy commercial, was don't look at social media and compare yourself, because a lot of people now, they get validation right from social media. And so now social media is in the space where people is starting to cause real mental health issues for people.
Right. And I just want to also put this out there for those of us who look to social media for likes and you based your life off that, looking at other pages and saying, wow, they have so many likes. People pay for those likes. I ain't saying everybody do. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a thing called you boosting your page and stuff like that. So don't use that as your platform to say, oh, there's something wrong with me because I don't have as many likes or as many views.
Right.
You could pay for it if you want, or
Man,
you could just not
people
care
don't even,
about it.
from a marketing standpoint, let me tell you something. People can even pay for followers. Okay. You might look at somebody's page and think that they all that and they got all this clout, and they don't. They paying for the engagement, they paying for the followers, they paying for the views, everything. You can pay for clout on the internet. You can pay for it.
And I just want to bring, like, awareness around that, to just say, don't beat yourself up. If you don't have all them likes, that's quite all right. Like we said last week, you are special, you are unique, you are who you are for a reason. Yeah. And build off of that. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to have all of the likes. Let's just normalize the popularity. Like, you don't have to have all of that. I don't know, just in my opinion. However, we're gonna switch gears from that, because that was last episode.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
I need you to talk to me about what's up with the mental health in our workspace.
The workplace. Oh, so this is a conversation that I like to have. And just a plug for the first episode, what we were just talking about, it was in the first episode. So y'all go back and check that out, because that was a really good talk. So y'all check that out. Ooh. But mental health in the workplace. So switching gears. So when I talk about mental health in the workspace and I go to these different businesses, like I told you, what I'm talking about is how business owners can retain more employees, or they can retain more talent, and they can get a bigger return on investment in their business and their company, right? So this is about, for the business owners, making more money and keeping good qualified people.
Right.
So the position that I talk from is absenteeism and presenteeism. It took me forever to learn that word. Presenteeism, I messed that word up in live in front of people a billion times. I was like, oh my God. But now I know how to say it, y'all. But what did you say? Presenteeism.
But how did you mess it up? You was just like, oh my God, what was that little voice you just did?
Oh yeah, I was like, oh my God, I messed it up, because I was doing this live, because I was doing it in front of, like, I was doing my talk, and I knew what I was trying to say, but I couldn't pronounce the words. So if you look back at some of my old stuff, you see me struggling with the word a little bit.
Presenteeism. That's
right, presenteeism. Okay. It's almost like, the way I remember it now is present and then presenteeism. So it's like being absent, but being present at the same time. So that's how I'm able to make sense of it, right? Because when I'm talking about mental health in the workplace, I'm talking about it from a standpoint of how business owners are losing money because people are not coming to work because of mental health related issues, or like most Americans, they're at work, but they're not at work. They're present, but they are not.
Before you go too far, can you adjust your camera just a little? Because I'm getting word that you're cut off.
Am I? Can you see me? Am I better now? No?
I can see you. Can everybody see him in the chat? Can you let me know?
Can y'all see me?
No, you're cut off.
Are you? I can see me.
I think it's something going on with Facebook, because I think both of us are like in the corner.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I see me.
I see you too. And I see.
Let me see if I can see the.
What was that little Barney? Oh, not Barney, but you're talking about, do you see me? They can't see that. Yeah, they seeing half of you. We see half of
you. On the Facebook. Yeah, you were only half of me before.
But you only could see half of me too. Oh, Dr. Kenyatta Hill says it's been glitching all day. Okay.
Okay. So it's not us. Okay, I got you.
So it's not us. Okay.
Okay.
I was about to say, wait a minute now. What's happening? They ain't gonna stop us though. We back. I'm sorry. Okay, and singing. So we are back talking about from burnout to balance. And
right, no. I remember what we were talking about, Britt.
Okay,
I'm talking about what do you want
they say they can hear us, so that's all that matters. Go ahead.
Okay, so where are we kicking off from what we were just talking about? Because you ain't want me to get too deep.
I don't know. I think we got some good people in our audience, so take us deep. We ain't gonna shy away.
All right. So, like I was saying, absenteeism, when I have these conversations with businesses, we're talking about, and I want to tie all of this into burnout to balance, right? I want to tie all of this into what tonight's topic is about. And we all work, right? In the climate that we're in a recession, we're in a pandemic, and everybody has to work. Even if you don't want to, I have seen some of the elderliest people come up out of retirement just so that they can work. Okay. Yeah. So it is rough out here right now, right? But then the thing is, that's the thing. We have to work. It's not necessarily a choice of whether we want to or not. If you would like to have any material thing, you have to do some level of work for it, right? Correct. And so for most people, that looks like going to work even during stressful times, right? It also looks like that too, right? Because a lot of the time, some people have a lot of job dissatisfaction, but they go anyway because it does what? It pays the bills. It's not necessarily that a person wants to be there more than it's about the fact that it's just like, it's what I got to do. And so what that does is it puts people in peculiar positions, because you have the dilemma of lifing and then having to work. And then you have the dilemma of lifing and working at the same time and trying to make all of that work.
Because what? How are we even doing that? Like,
it is nuts, right? Like, how do you life, right? And deal with all of the stressors of life, because it is so many stressors. I mean, think about it. Think about a person who is at work, but they are so preoccupied with the fact that they're so behind on their car payments that maybe when they get out for lunch, their car might not be there.
Oh.
So how can you expect a person to work under those conditions? How can you want them to be present and work when they're dealing with that? I don't know about you, but I've had situations like that where shit just went haywire and it was crazy.
Yeah.
You know, that's just how it is, you know. And it's like,
I actually had an anxiety attack like that at work. This was probably 2 months ago, roughly.
Yeah.
Where so I'm gonna raise my hand. I'm a presenteeism.
Yeah.
That's me. So I'm here, I'm at work, I'm clocked in, but like you said, my mind keep racing throughout the day. Sometimes it's hard to even shut it off to go to sleep.
Right.
So it was just like one day it was just going, and I knew that I was not going to make it through my shift. I was like, oh my God, where it was like, boom, just out of nowhere. And now I can't even focus on what this call is about, because now I got to get back in the game. I got to get my head back in the game.
Right.
But like you said, because life is life and on the outside, and I try so very hard not to mix the two.
Right.
So when I clock in, what I usually tell myself is, okay, whatever happens in your personal, we gonna leave that on the outskirts, because we are on the clock.
Right.
But I work from home.
Right. That's also
So
helpful.
that's adding out another layer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To now be able to separate the two.
Right. So and that's the that's the thing. A lot of people try to separate the two, but it is unrealistic to all the time, right? Because at your job, what's the first thing they say? Leave it where? At the door.
Yeah.
They tell you to leave it at the
Yeah.
door, but how can you leave it at the door when you're working on a job that you don't like,
Ooh.
when you're not getting paid enough,
Ooh.
when management isn't working with you?
Oh, you still going?
You know what I mean? How do you separate the two when you're frustrated about how your manager is treating you, so you carry that at home?
Right.
How? It's not always easy to just leave it at the door. Because the reality is we spend most of our time at work.
Right.
Most of our day is spent at work, and then we go home, do a small amount of whatever we do in between. We get rest, and we get ready to go to bed, to get up and do what again? Go to work.
Do it all over again.
That is it. So if we're not addressing mental health in the spaces that we are the most, you can see why businesses are losing money, because people can't come to work. Right? Because people can't be, either their physical bodies can't be there, or their physical bodies can be there and their minds are not there. So it's a lose-lose. And now research has shown that because of COVID, people's anxiety is through the roof. The numbers of new patients with anxiety has tripled during the pandemic. And people are stressed out. And you want to know what, Britt, what the most stressful issue is that people have right now? Take a guess. Work.
We talk about the dollar bills. We talking about, do we just list them all? Do we go down the line? Because eggs, milk, $5, $7. I'm trying to figure out, because I may not be the sharpest tool in the tool shed, but my math ain't mathing with the pay rate times.
Listen, Britt, me and my wife have a joke about this, and I laugh so hard because it wasn't just a joke. I think it was what's his name? Cat Williams was talking about it, about the chicken wing epidemic, right? Because he was just like, why is the chicken wings so damn expensive when it's a part of the same chicken that all the other pieces is? Like, why?
Because since when is the wing premium? Because I felt that in my soul when he said that.
Why is there such a high demand on the wings? And like, where are the wings going that the breasts aren't?
Right.
No. For real. Like,
it's so true.
It made me think.
You can't, like the regular food is up there with price-wise with organic stuff.
Yes, yeah. I mean, you talking about, I remember at one point, I'm so glad it went down, but eggs were like $6 a carton.
Oh, so
$6. For eggs? Come on. You know what I mean? Like,
and what eggs these?
Right.
Because my mom on here, but I just need to know that thing better be made of gold. Like, are we Willy Wonka with the little golden eggs? Like
Britt, those the premium chickens.
Listen. So I'm gonna take it to the chat right quick, right?
Yeah.
Because we got some good stuff going on here. So we got Marlon, who was like, he could speak to, the workplace, going back to having that anxiety. He was like, said man, he gave him an anxiety of his lifetime. Like, could you imagine? So I'm really, this is my story, to what he just said.
Right.
If I don't know why I have this thing, but like if a supervisor or manager calls me, in the office, this was back then when I was working at IKEA, right? Or even now, since we're virtual, and they just ping me and they're like, hey, can we talk? Instantly, My heart is fluttering. Like, oh God, what did I do? Like, did I take too long on my break?
Yes.
And I had to really train my mind. And this is for me. I really had to train my mind to say, just because my supervisor is calling me, why did I automatically go to the negative?
Oh, and I'm not gonna even go there, but go ahead. Go ahead.
So to his point, like I when you have supervisors, managers, even some coworkers that do that to you, that give you just that anxiety, like that's not okay.
And this is tying back into today's topic when I was talking about, how a person is able to deal with all of these things and be at work. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of the time when people are having stressors, a lot of the time emotionally, people can't handle those things. So a person that's typically really nice might become snappy, or they might become really rude or short. And so now you're disrupting the workplace because somebody's irritated about a situation that really ain't work related, but you catching the butt end of it because guess what? They got to go to work.
Right, right. So we got a question in the chat here. So Jonathan asks, what's the responsibility of a person that recognizes they aren't functioning in the workspace effectively as they would like to?
What's the responsibility of a person? And give that to me one more time.
Recognizes they aren't functioning in the workplace effectively as they would like to.
So this will jump right into burnout, right? Ooh. So a lot of people don't know that there are symptoms to burnout. Burnout, it's not a medical diagnosis, but there are symptoms to know when you're being burnt out. And one of those is agitation, frustration, feeling like something is wrong, right? Feeling overwhelmed with your workload, feeling like, maybe you're always getting more work than other people, and then maybe you start to have psychological issues, like you start to get irritability, you start to get snappy, all of these things happen. And a lot of this is because of burnout. People are burnt out at work, and it's like we were talking about earlier, because of COVID, a lot of people still don't want to work. A lot of employers are still complaining that there aren't enough good workers. So now when companies do get workers, they work them to death. They work them to death. And so now you are creating a culture of burnout. And so now, just so you know, when it comes to, because I did the research on this, I watched the HR, she was an HR director, and a company can have burnout culture, a culture that is inducive to burning people out. And HR companies are trying to combat that. That is a thing. I just want to say that, yeah.
What's the purpose of that?
Of what?
Like, why? Like, what? So employers, I think it's really important to have that talk of mental health, right? So for me, I shared that I work for a bank. When I tell y'all I love my job, I'm probably one of the few that love their job. But what I love about my job, as we spoke earlier, is the simple fact of we talk about mental health.
Right.
Like as you and I were speaking earlier, I was getting emails from supervisors like, hey, we got different sessions that we're setting up. Take an hour off the phone.
Yeah.
Come chat about mental health. Get some good knowledge and some good tools and resources. And that's something that, my job is really, really big on, is providing the resources, providing the flexibility even in your shift. We could take flex time, right? So if I just need a moment to just breathe, I could take my moment now. However, I have to make up those hours later on during the week. But that, you don't find a lot of companies
No, you don't.
That even offers that take into consideration, like, hey, we care about you. Yes, we are member centric, but we are also caring for our employees.
Right.
And let's talk about, like you mentioned earlier, where we're talking about life is life, and then we're looking at our pay rates. So financially, I may not be where I want to be, for my goals at my hourly rate. However, I'm here and I could show up to my job because you care about me as a person. You
Right.
care about
Right.
my mental health. You know what I'm saying? Like when we
Yeah.
taking these calls nowadays, and even though we're talking about finances, I am dealing with what people are going through on
Right.
their personal end.
I could
So now I
imagine.
turn into your therapist, which I am perfectly fine with because I believe in bringing back the humanity in all jobs.
Right. Right.
Like I just went to I think it was Popeyes the other day. So when you talk about people being overworked, this one lady, she just literally laid over the counter and she said, "I'm done." And I was like, "What's going on?" And she says, "It's just me. We don't have nobody. People are walking off the job. People are not showing up because they don't have babysitters, whatever they have going on in their personal life."
Yeah.
And she's like, "This is too much for me to take on." She looked like she was an older woman, I'm assuming. Of course, I didn't ask for her age, but she also made the comment to say,
Yeah.
I'm at an age where I should be at home now
Mhm.
enjoying life. But like you
Right.
said, because we all got responsibilities that we got
Right.
to take care of,
Yeah.
we can't really too much enjoy that life. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because of the
Yeah. Yeah.
responsibility.
Yeah. 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 It's and as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking in my head, like, that's the whole premise of why I have these conversations with these businesses, because regular people, just like me, just like you, we're dealing with these things. This isn't something that I'm talking about that's like out there. This is something
Right,
that everybody is dealing with. And so I'm so happy that you have a job that creates the space for you to be able to address your mental health, because a lot of companies aren't. And that's why I'm on the mission to educate more businesses on because my thing is this: who doesn't want to make more money, right? And who doesn't want to keep good talent? Who doesn't want
right,
to do that? So that's
right,
when I was talking to you about that depression calculator on the American Psychiatric Association's website, because like I was telling you,
Ooh,
I'm not about just theoretical stuff. I like facts,
right,
and I like to have a grounded opinion and outlook on things. And this depression calculator, I was telling you, we did one earlier. I did a mock one. This was a manufacturing business, and it's on the American Psychiatric Association on their website, or you can just go to Google and type in depression
right,
calculator and it'll come up.
right.
And all you do is put in some basic demographics about the business, and then
Uh-huh.
it'll spit out how much money a company is losing in mental health related costs every year. And we did a very small business that had 1 to 50 employees, and that business was losing $73,000 a year in mental
Uh-huh.
health related costs. And that $73,000 was a mixture of people not coming to work and people coming to work and not being productive. That's where that money is going. So, what business owner doesn't want to keep $73,000 in their pocket? All you got to do is
No, I
open
agree.
up the conversation. That's it.
Right, right. No, you're absolutely correct. And then, numbers don't lie. So, like you said, with business people, um, when you showed me that calculator, it definitely um changed the game. So for like employers who don't know where to start, or,
Yeah.
like who haven't had that conversation with their employees, where do you
Yeah.
recommend that they even start at?
So, the American Psychiatric Association should pay me. Okay, we're gonna throw that out there if y'all ever see this video, because I promote y'all a lot and y'all
Absolutely.
resources. But the thing is, they have so many resources. Like there's a program I was showing you called Right Direction. And when I have these conversations to these businesses, I tell them about Right Direction. And what it does is it is a website that was created exclusively to address mental health in the workplace. And so what that looks like is there are posters that are confidential posters where you can post up in your break rooms, the HR offices, and it's just resources for people, you know. And then there's even a training, right, for management so that they can implement the Right Direction program, because there are steps to how you implement it within your company. But it is a free resource and it comes with a kit. Literally, all you do is go to the website, look for employers or businesses, and you can have a startup kit to start addressing mental health in the workplace at your business. It doesn't matter how small it is, how big it is. It has resources for everybody. And I really
what's the name of that website for the people in the back?
rightdirection.com.
Yeah, I heard it, rightdirection.com.
Or it might be .org. Let me verify that real quick, because I want to make sure I give people the correct information. Because it's a great resource. So give me a second.
And while you're doing that, I am going to go to the chat over here. And let's see what we got. So we have someone in the chat that says, this will get even worse if we don't stay woke and get more involved with what's going on around us. Absolutely. I think that having this discussion and not shying away from it is so important. Even on a personal level, how many of us don't even have the conversation with ourselves personally to say, you know, it's okay to have anxiety. It's okay if you've already been diagnosed with depression or bipolar, or what have you. It's okay to have those things, and it's okay to speak up to let your employers know. That's what's so important as well, because you may need that extra break, you know, to just go recollect. Just the same thing that you do at home, to create those same safe spaces that you have at home, especially when you work from home. So I'm, you know, talking to my work from home people.
Your work from home people. And Britt, I did just verify it. The website is called rightdirectionforme.com. That's the name of the website, rightdirectionforme.com. And that will give the resources for employers and individuals, because Right Direction is a program for employers for their employees. So the most important people really here is the employees. So you don't have to wait until your employer decides to implement this. If they care to implement this, you can go to rightdirectionforme.com and you can get resources just for yourself. So it doesn't have to be.
So it doesn't even have to come through your employer.
No, it doesn't even have to. Because on the website, it shows here, it'll say, who is this for? Is it for organization or is it for individual?
And we're gonna throw it out there. We got Jonathan to say, to let everybody know, to say that Shaw sent you.
You talk about for the Right Direction.
Right. Because we're gonna get you monetized, okay?
Listen, because I promote it, but it's a resource that I believe is really helpful, because a lot of people, mental health is still stigmatized, unfortunately. And because of that, a lot of people are not open to having mental health related conversations at work, because, you know, you got a lot of people who got the I don't want everybody to know my business type of situation, and people are just not really open to a lot of mental health dialogue. So I think by opening it up, it would be helpful. And I wanted to tell you about the things to balance burnout, right? Because that's my thing, right? I'm not going to bring all of the doom and gloom without bringing what we're going to do to address it, right?
Of course, because we're about solutions here in the Ladies Lounge.
Right. So we're about solutions, but we have to address the deficit that this causes on our work-life balance. We have to be able to address that first. Now, One of the things that I always tell people is that right direction, because that's something specifically for businesses. But if you are an employee, like, you know, most of us, there's things that you need to first recognize when you're looking at the signs and symptoms of burnout. Remember first that you need to have the awareness that you are burnt out. And so there are ways. Go ahead.
That's number one.
Go ahead.
The wellness, the awareness that you are burnt out. And if I could have someone that can put these nuggets that we are getting in the chat, because I do see Dr. Kenyatta Hills is saying she's taking notes. I'm over here about to take some too. So if I could have someone that can help us out in the chat and just drop down these nuggets that he's providing us, I greatly appreciate y'all.
Can you see me good?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see me good still now?
Yes.
So there's a couple signs of burnout that I'd like to kind of help you to be aware of, right? Because I believe that awareness is power and awareness is clarity, right? So the more you are aware of something, the better decisions you can make and the better you can help yourself to thrive in, you know, these spaces, right? So first is being aware that you're burnt out. And when I say being aware of it, literally feeling it in your body, like, yo, I'm tired. I feel burnt out. It's acknowledging it first, right? You got to acknowledge it first. That's the only way.
Tell us every time.
Your body will tell you. So think these are a couple of signs, right? You're more tired than usual at work, right? So if it's not related to a sleep disorder, but you find that you're more tired than usual, you know, from your work and your work activities, you could be experiencing burnout. Or if you feel more like critical of like your work tasks and stuff like that, like everything is annoying you, like everything that people do, like you're starting to get like, it's like people, it's like everything is about to piss you off. And it's like you're almost at that stage where you want to blow up and snap on somebody. That means that you may be experiencing burnout. If you are the type of person, this is really common for managers. If you're skipping breaks, right? In order to get work done, you're not taking your mandated breaks because you're working so much.
Right.
That could be a possible sign that you're experiencing burnout, or something as simple as you're calling off more often. You feel like you need a break. You feel like you need to have a mental health break, so you got to call off of work. And you find yourself doing that more often, maybe you're experiencing burnout.
Wow.
Right? And I got two more, right?
Okay.
For
we got
people
some bonus.
We
got the bonus nuggets over here.
You got a few other ones, right? So a really simple one, having problems paying attention or concentrating. So if you notice that you're a person that's typically on top of things, but it just seems like you're really sluggish, you just can't gather your thoughts, you're all disheveled mentally, maybe you're burnt out because you're doing too many things at one time.
What?
Right.
So you mean it ain't my ADD? It's me.
No,
I'm to take on
no,
too much? What?
It ain't ADD. These people working you to death. That's what it is. They working you to death. That's what it is. And so,
you don't say.
So this is the thing, Britt. When we're talking about acknowledging first that we're burnt out, these are just a few things that you can look for to notice if you're burnt out. But most of us know when we're burnt out. We know when we are just over it. We know.
Correct.
And so one of the things outside of getting the resources, professional resources, because the reality is people are more stressed out now, all of these like BetterHelp commercials and people really pushing therapy. If you notice, therapy is a really big thing now. They're really pushing that because Americans are stressed the hell out.
I had one guy, I got to share this story. When you say that Americans are stressed, we ain't stressed the hell out. We stressed the hell out. Okay.
Right.
And
We
it's the fact
We there
this
with
guy called in and he wanted like his credit on his account. And he was going on and on and on. Like he was like, I don't even know what's going on anymore because you know what, with the election, and then now people moving stuff in my account, you know, and I had to take a sit, like I had to sit back, like what he just say? Like it's really like it's a thing.
Yeah.
People are stressed with what's going on in the world, you know.
Yes, it's a lot. And the thing is, it's so much uncertainty going on in the world. But guess what still remains the same? We have to go to work. Right. Amidst all of these things you talking about, we still got to take our butt to work.
You know who, Mr. Wiley G in the comments talk about you could just smell the smoke when you pull up to work.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. It's like people, even people on social media, you see them making videos pissed off to go in to work.
What's the little cat that be riding around with the music blasting talking about they pulled up to work and seen it was too many cars and couldn't find a parking spot. So they went, so the cat reversing.
Listen, we could go on and on about how people hate the jobs that they have. And that conversation can spin off into maybe finding your purpose or more purposeful work. But in the space that most of us are in when it comes to working, we just have to do it, right? And so acknowledging that you're burnt out. And then one of the next things so this is one practice that I have at work. So I work in marketing, and I have been in marketing for about 13 years, and I've made it to netting. And so a lot of the time I have my own office, and I'm able to create a morning routine. And I believe that morning routines and rituals are really important because they set the pace and the tone for the rest of your day. You know, a lot of people, they just wake up and they just start to moving and getting ready for the day without grounding themselves first. So then you get to work, and then you have to deal with the pressures and the stress of having all of this extra work to do. There's not enough people. People are understaffed. People are being overworked. And so you just getting out of the bed, out of being asleep, and the first thing you do is you're up and moving, and you're not even aware or creating space for yourself to create a positive day.
Yes. Correct. And I'm so happy you took it there, because in the chat, I got my cousin here. She said, Britt, like you said, you're happy with your job. Most aren't. So I loved my job when I worked at IKEA, right? Mm-hmm. And after I left IKEA, I used to work for Comcast. Oh my God. I did not enjoy working for Comcast at all. I was all type of Bs, MFers, and I was in the billing department. You know what I'm saying? So if y'all have Xfinity, Comcast, then y'all know what I'm talking about because y'all done called in and about your billing stuff. I hated my job, but I did not let that take over me. And it goes back to a mindset shift, to say, you know what, I still have to show up every day, but I'm going to do what I need to do to get out of this situation, right. If it's to leave the job or what have you. So I still showed up. I'm talking about I was on a final within 6 months of being there. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I didn't have supervisors that talked to me, now you talking about my anxiety was through the roof and all of these things, but I had to push through that to say, you know what, pray over it. I manifested the job that I'm working at now. When you talk about doing your grounding, when you talking about creating that safe space, and I'm waking up and I'm like, I can't go to work and just, roll out of bed and sign in working there. I had to really get in my zone to be like, okay, deep breaths, because as soon as you hear that beep in your ear, they coming at you. But so I didn't allow me, just like in my job, to overpower me getting to the next level, which was being there for a year. You know what I'm saying? Like manifesting the job that I'm at now. I'm talking about strolling through TikTok. I'm on TikTok University. And it was this lady who was on there. She was like, can you stop for a minute and let me pray for you? And she was like, I want you to write down these 2 dates. July 5th, and she said, I want you to say, God's got you. And July 18th, the blessing is coming. Don't you know July 18th was my start date? For, you know, the job, said job that I'm at now.
Ooh, yeah,
And,
that's
you know,
good.
but I look back and I'm like, but that was because I was obedient with still going to work. And I also created that mindset to be like, you know what? I have to do what I have to do, even though, yes, it's responsibilities. I know I don't want to be here, but I know God ain't, this not my end result.
Right. It's not the end all be
No,
all, right? That's the thing. Like
absolutely.
a lot of people don't even think about the fact that you could just get another job, or you could find something that more aligns with who you are and what your goals are as a person. And if that means getting another certification, if that means getting training in another field,
Yes.
if that means you have the right to take control of what you want your career to look like. You don't ever have to feel that you are stuck at a dead end job. You know, there's I just learned about this psychological phenomenon called I think it's called the sunken ship syndrome or something like that, where it's basically like because people have put so much energy into something, instead of stopping, reassessing, and doing something different, they'll stay content in what they did, even though it may not be serving them or what they do.
Now, do you feel like, now off of that, what you just said, right? Do you think that we stay content because it's safe?
Well, we
Because
think
now
it's
anxiety and depression and all that stuff has gotten in the way, and we in our own heads, and
we think it's safe, but no job is safe. Even a good job isn't safe because we are all dispensable. You got to think about it, you know, and I always hated and I hate to have this conversation, but this is why I have the type of business that I have, helping other people to start businesses, because statistics are also showing that, especially in the state of Florida, the number of business applications and new business applications has skyrocketed almost 10 times.
wow.
After the pandemic, more people are starting businesses and working for themselves, and more people are also the people who are making those transitions successfully are stating on reports that they will never go back to traditional employment again.
Wow.
So it's we can get into, you know, doing those things, but I want to finish giving y'all the nuggets on work-life balance, right? So creating a morning routine, that's really, really important, because you have to be able to set the intention for your day and not let your day set your intention for you.
Come on.
Right? You have to be able to set the intention of your day. I listened to Les Brown. He said you have to be able to command the spirit of your day. Right. You have to be able to command the spirit of your day. And a lot of us are not taking time to create the space for the type of day we want to have. We're just letting the day create us. We're not using what we have in our. I practice a lot of stoicism, and stoicism is all about what's in your control and what is not in your control. And if it ain't in your control, let it go. And most of the things that are not in our control is things outside of us, our jobs, other people. But what we can control is we can control how we decide to show up when we do go to work. And we can do that by grounding ourselves before we get to work. You know, that's one of the biggest things that I believe, like journaling, for instance. I'm really big when it comes to journaling, you know, and I do that in the morning. And when I'm at work, literally, I have affirmations. As soon as I get in, I read my affirmations. So my affirmation might look like, I am confident in my role in this company. You know, follows me in every decision that I make. And so I create a list of affirmations, and then I typically say something. It's called the Optimist Creed. And after I do that, I journal for a little bit. I journal about work. I journal about what I'm dealing with coming to work. I'm journaling about it, so I'm getting it out. So when I do have to work on it, because I've written it down on paper, so that it's not necessarily just hanging around affecting me. So it's like the conversation also has to go the part where in the direction where it's not just about holding the employers responsible, but it's also holding the employees responsible for their own mental health, outside of the workplace.
Well, we say that's accountability.
Yeah.
We want to say
Accountability.
that.
Yes.
So I love what you said, because so at my desk I have different sticky notes, and they all have affirmations, scriptures that, just help me out throughout my day. And I also pray over my phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I ask God to just use me as a vessel for the cause that I'm about to take.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good way. When you look at your work as something that is a blessing to other people, and that's how I look at any of my work. I look at it as God or source energy is working through me so that I can support these people in whatever capacity my work is, right? And that's how that's how I approach my work. Like, hey, God is working through me to help these people, with the information that I know about this job,
Right.
And so when I look at it, that's just kind of how I look at it, and I bring the excitement to my job. The other thing I like to do is I go on mindfulness walks. So when I'm able to go on my break, if I have a 15-minute break, I'll take 15 minutes to just go take a walk, just to clear my mind of anything work related, anything, because it's something you can do at work.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting and scrolling on your phone while you're at work, go take a walk.
Yeah.
Go walk.
Yeah.
How about they have on YouTube on your lunch break, they have 5-minute guided meditations. Meditate for 5 minutes on your lunch break. You have to be active in your own mental health.
Because so we can hang up the signs as employers in the break room and do all these things. But what I'm hearing you say is I have to take accountability for my mind. So I love that you say go on walks, especially whether you work from home. But, I think it's beneficial to both if you're in office and you work from home. But especially like just trying to differentiate the two and changing your environment to take a breath. I love what you said about putting the phones down. I find myself, I'm guilty. I will be strolling through TikTok, strolling through Facebook, and then next you know, you look up and your break is over.
It's time to go back. And you want to know, Britt, what I've learned to do, even when I go on these walks, I leave my phone. I'll leave my phone at my desk because it forces me to connect with what's around me and not with like what I got going on. Like I'm not overstimulating myself. You know what I mean? I'm giving myself space to separate work from everything else I got going on. And I do. If you've heard of the Pomodoro technique, it's basically a work technique where you do 30 minutes or however long of very focused work, and then you give yourself a break. So like a 5 or 10 minute break in between, and then you focus on one task at a time. Because another reason people are burnt out is because they're multitasking. Science shows that humans cannot multitask effectively. A lot of us think that we can, but when your brain is trying to process so many things at one time, that's when people get overwhelmed, confused, and burnt out because they're trying to focus on too many things at one time. Correct. And I believe that's the core of burnout, trying to focus on, and it's not just focusing on too many like work related things to do. You're thinking about work. You're thinking about a lot of it is stuff that's in your head.
Right.
What it is you're thinking.
And I love now, going back to the chat, because we got some heavy hitters in the chat today. I love what Marlon said, right? So I know Marlon from IKEA, and he is a really, really dope manager. And he said what he does, one of the things that he does with his sticky notes, like he'll leave positive, something positive for his team or coworkers. You know what I'm saying? And like for me, I'm over engagement for our team meetings. So each month I get to pick up the pick topics for engagement. Shocker, y'all, right? But the feedback that you get from that, you know, just a simple, you got this.
Right.
Thank you for being here today. Thank you for being you.
You'll be,
Whatever those little messages are,
because
goes a
people need
long
to,
way.
because people need to hear it. You'll be
Yeah.
surprised at how often, if you just think about your life, how often are people telling you, hey, Britt, good job. Yo, you are doing your very best. You may get that from a handful of people, but for the most part, a lot of people don't get that from a lot of there's nobody, unless you're rooting for yourself, there's nobody actively always showing you that, hey, like, it's just one of those things, right? So it's like, then you get, I mean, there you get into like rooting for yourself and all that other stuff. But I'm staying focused. But to what Marlon was saying, leaving those sticky notes, you never know. Even, you know, even when a person is pleasant, you never know how an encouraging word might help someone at work. You know,
Absolutely.
you'll be surprised that of the things that people are experiencing right now. I mean, I go and I donate blood, and I get to see all of these different types of people, you know what I mean, from doctors to, I mean, all type of people come here and donate. And some of the stories that I connect with people, because, you know, I don't judge people, and I believe that you can learn from everyone. And this one lady, I mean, she was telling me her story, and it was heartbreaking. Like, it's her husband, and her 5-year-old, she has 5-year-old twins, and they're living in a home that's condemned with no water, no electricity, no food. They have a slumlord, and the neighbor next door gives them water to bathe.
Wow.
And there are 5-year-old twins in this situation. So it's like, when you think about that, just what people, you don't know what people are going through, because people put on a strong face at work, and what most people have on at work is a mask. It's a
Oh,
mask.
you said it. You said it.
It's a mask. Most people will mask themselves so that they can work, right? Because we have to somewhat switch up our personality for a paycheck.
Right. Right. I agree.
You know.
Oh, this was heavy, but yet important. You know, I seen in the chat some people were talking about being their own, you know, having their own business, being your own CEO, your own boss, you know, of your business. It's like, I would rather have those stresses of it being my own than to be stressing over somebody else stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, and my thought is, if I work for myself, nobody could ever fire me.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like, if I'm willing to, because think about it, if you're willing to put in the same amount of work that you're willing to put in on a 9-to-5 job into your business,
Right.
you know what I mean? You'll be surprised. But because we have the illusion, right, that these businesses that of security, and anybody could get laid off. So in no business is secure. No job is, you're not replaceable. You know what I mean? In any job. So working for yourself is definitely the way to go, but it's not for everybody. You know what I mean? So for those people that have to work 9-to-5s, it's important that you find balance amidst being burnt out. And I know a lot of you guys that are watching, everybody that's watching, I'm sure you have a job or you do something to bring in some income, and there's a level of stress with that you have to be able to balance, right? Because we can't control the fact that we have to work. That's just the world we live in. That's the life space that we are in. So we have to work. So if we have to work, we have to be able to nurture our own mental health and avoid things like burnout by being self-aware, creating morning routines, doing things at work that disconnecting, right? Disconnecting and taking time to be in nature. I know my last job I worked at, I was able to take a walk around this business park, and I would look at the trees and the birds, and I would just connect with what was, right? To just kind of separate my mind. So I would encourage anybody that is watching this podcast and this video, to take care of yourself at work. I do encourage people to start their own businesses, and that's something that I am really big on. But, for most of us, and it takes a lot of work to be your own boss. So most of us have to work a 9 to 5. So you got to care for yourself. You do.
I love it. I love, I love mental health topics. And
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming on, sharing the knowledge, bringing us back to reality to say, number one, we do have to take accountability for our own selves, even at work. And that, you can turn that burnout and balance it out to where, here's the resources. Take the walks on the break. I love that you said leave your phone at your desk, and you'll find it too. You could connect with people, if you're working in an office, you could connect with people, or you could just ground and do the grounding work and reset yourself to come back for the next set of, hours or days. So I want to ask you, I would love to ask this question. What are your go-to affirmations, quotes that you use to help you?
Affirmations. One big affirmation is that I am enough. Because I believe that when we can affirm that we are enough, then we can understand that we are not our jobs. We're not, the type of job we have doesn't define us. The job that we don't have doesn't define us. But just reaffirming to myself that I'm always enough. That's one of my go-to affirmations. Another really big one is it's not just an affirmation, but it is a philosophy, a life philosophy of mine. And it is that I live in a state of patience, resilience, and an optimistic attitude. So those are like my two go-to that I use, that I say every single day.
I love, love, love that. And thank you, CEOshaw, for coming back for another round, because we're not done. We're not done with you yet. But I
I know.
appreciate coming back and sharing, dropping some nuggets and knowledge on, us just rebalancing ourselves, reclaiming your mental health in your workspace. As always, I hope that, everyone that's listening, watching, that there were some nuggets, because they were dropped today, and gems. I hope you had your notepads. I hope you took this in. You can watch this again if you missed from the beginning. You can watch it on my YouTube channel. So go like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you do go and like and comment and follow, CEOshaw, because he is full of knowledge. And I am so happy that God placed you in my life. And again, thank you for being here. Thank y'all in the chat. Y'all are so dope. Like, it's so many comments that we got to go back and read just in the chat. I couldn't even just keep up. Like, thank you everybody who's listening and watching. I'm gonna forever just thank everybody, because this is such a humbling experience to just be in the ladies lounge. We episode 5, y'all. So next week, guess what we have on next week? We finna chop it up with the cast of Shift 4. So if you haven't watched it yet, and CEOshaw could talk to this as well. If you haven't watched it yet, you may want to go. Not even you may want to go, because we're gonna tell you what to do in the ladies' lounge, right? Go watch it.
Go check out Shift 4. Check it out. If Shift 4 is gonna be here next week, you'll see me again too.
Absolutely. So 7 p.m. next Wednesday. I love y'all. Please have an amazing week. Until then, on purpose, for your purpose. You all, we out.
Peace.